We got it. Got
Good morning,
it.
everyone. We're just setting it, and then we'll get started.
Yeah. This is why you want to plant a This is a
Yeah, this is
good demonstration.
You got it.
You don't want to plant a bare root tree.
No, why you
Oh,
do
well,
want?
because it's easier. I get it.
Yeah, it's easier.
I got it. Okay, I understand.
Betsy, say something profound. We're live on YouTube.
You got it.
You don't want to plant a bare root tree.
No, why you
Oh,
do
well,
want?
because it's easier. I get it.
Yeah, it's easier.
I got it. Okay, I understand.
All right. Betsy, say something profound. We're live on YouTube.
You got it.
You don't want to plant a bare root tree.
No, why you
Oh,
do
well,
want?
because it's easier. I get it.
Yeah, it's easier.
I got it. Okay, I understand.
All right. Are we smiling so Betsy, say something profound. We're live on YouTube.
You got it.
You don't want to plant a bare root tree.
No, why you
Oh,
do
well,
want?
because it's easier. I get it.
Yeah, it's easier.
I got it. Okay, I understand.
All right. Smiling so Betsy, say something profound. We're live on YouTube.
You got it.
You don't want to plant a bare root tree.
No, why you do
Well,
want?
because it's easier. I get it.
Yeah, it's easier.
I got it. Okay, I understand.
Right. Smiling so Betsy, say something profound. We're live on YouTube.
You got it.
You don't want to plant a bare root tree.
No, why you
To participate in any way that you want. I'd like to begin, though, by recognizing someone. Who's he going to recognize? It's the gentleman behind the camera today, Thad Yorks. Thad has been instrumental to the Tree Commission, to the Lake Association, to the college, you name it. He is as good as they get as a resident and as a volunteer. And we are sorry about what's happening with the college. And we want very much to have nothing but the very best for this gentleman as he moves forward to his next chapter. So please join me in a round of applause for Thad.
Thanks, Tom.
So this, we have a couple of things that we're obligated to do today. Not obligated, but we prefer to do as a matter of habit. And so you're going to read the list, Ted's going to read the list of donors since day one who have donated trees in their given years. And the list is growing, which is nice. We've planted over 200 trees since our start, which is the whole purpose of the Tree Commission from the beginning was to start to replant where we were in a cycle of just taking trees down. So we've accomplished much. We have many critics who sometimes when you plant a new tree, it isn't as conspicuous as the big sugar maple we took down. But through the years then they grow up and we're slowly reforesting our community. So Ted, it's yours.
Thanks, Tom. I'm going to read them by years and the donors. In 2008, the Tait family, the Dave Porter and Betsy Moore family. 2009, Dudley Johnson, the Rotary Club, Lori Dudley, and the Cazenovia Garden Club. 2010, Rick Patrick, the Sutton family, the Doteman family, Baldwin family, Project Cafe, which was towards raising money towards Junior, the Christmas tree in front of the Presbyterian Church. Critz Farms as well towards that Christmas tree. Josie Gloss, Russ Brownback, and the Cazenovia Garden Club. Garden Club should probably be at the beginning, not the end. They're very important every year. 2011, Cazenovia Garden Club and Project Cafe. 2012, the Garden Club, Gabilondo family, and Cazenovia Artisans. 2013, Garden Club Sugar Maple, Cindy George's, the Tree Commission, and in memory, there was a Norway maple planted on the green. In 2014, the Cazenovia Garden Club. 2015, the Earth Club, and Marilyn Narensky. In 2016, the Cazenovia Garden Club and Roger DeMuth. 2017, an anonymous donation, and Lori Dudley. 2018, the Caz Garden Club, Lori Glother, and the Burton Street 4th grade class. 2019, the Cazenovia Lion Club. 2020, the Cazenovia Garden Club. 2021, the Friends of Gail Kogelmeyer, Nancy and Frank Pelosi, the Garden Club, and the class of 1989, a tree in memory of Gerald Broadwater. 2022, the town of Cazenovia. In 2023, Cacta and the Cazenovia Garden Club. Impressive.
Yeah, it's a lot of space.
You did hear, and Ted referenced it, the garden club being mentioned over and over and over again. Susie's a charter member of our organization, and the garden club is absolutely one of those groups that's an unsung hero in this community. What we see, the baskets and the fountain area and the gateway sign, just silent volunteers. Once in a while you drive by, you'll see a car parked and there'll be someone there watering and taking care of them. And that organization just always needs funding, right? And always needs volunteers, but we are grateful. I've always recognized you as the unsung heroes of the community, so thank you to the Garden Club. So we have a multitude of representatives of Cacta here this morning, so I believe you're the one that got the short end of the stick.
Officially, yes.
So Cacta was kind enough to donate today's tree, which is a shingle oak, the first of its kind in the village, and we tried to have as much diversity as possible, but stay within plants that will do well in our climate. So it's all yours.
Yeah, just on behalf of Cacta, we're always happy to provide for the community, and Christy and Ann are also representing here, board members. Working at the library, I know how much use this park gets and how endeared it is now to our community, and Cacta's been there from the very beginning with the organization of the design, the building of it, and now maintaining it through meeting projects. So by adding this and adding a little shade, a little fresh air, we're happy to be able to do so.
And we know we're planting it close to a white pine, and we just, because we're kind of just planted out on this side, but we're going to let them duke it out and see who wins. But in the woods, you have peaceful coexistence, and so we thought we're going to have peaceful coexistence at the Creekside Park. The village did hire a horticulturalist. We started that position with Mark Stinson, and then Mark went to the cemetery, and then now, unfortunately, he's in Tennessee. But we have someone, his name is Mickennon, and I've had trouble remembering his name, but he said his parents loved Mick Jagger and John Lennon, and so you had him, and it's Mickennon, so that's the best way to remember that. And you'll see him around driving the gator. This park, though, he has his hands full with managing what the village has to do. So this is going to be incumbent on volunteers to help as much as possible down at this park in terms of keeping it managed. But I know we'll be able to do it. So now, in heaven, or wherever it might be, Bill McGee is sitting there, and all the pressure is being put on you to read the formal Arbor Day proclamation. You remember Bill would always do the hereforth, forthwith. Well, now it's Betsy Moore's turn.
My turn with the whereases.
Yeah.
So this is the official Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-saving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore I, Betsy Moore, charter member of the Village of Cazenovia Tree Commission, do hereby proclaim April 20, today's date as Arbor Day in the Village of Cazenovia, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Today.
Yay.
All right.
So
Say, as somebody who grew up in Nebraska, I've always, Arbor Day was a big deal.
that's great, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, should have had you read this, didn't know that.
So Arbor Day is always the last Friday in April, and that's why that document's dated.
Yeah.
We recognize
April 28th.
this coming Friday as being the official Arbor Day. We celebrated a week in advance for selfish reasons, because we'll put a press release in the paper, and the Republican likes to not have something that's old news. So I think it's worth it because we have a lot of people here. Let's just go around the horn. No pressure, starting with you. Let's just say our names, because it's always neat when we can meet new people that we might not otherwise know. So Jennifer?
Hi, my name's Jennifer Hallswood. I'm from Chittenango.
John Wood, Chittenango. Jim Maloney, Chittenango.
I'm Ann Saltman. I live here in Cazenovia, and I represent both Cacta and the garden.
Great. Jerry Rasmussen, with the Tree Commission.
Christy Anderson, I'm here with Cacta.
Susie Grells, I'm here with the Tree Commission and the Garden Club.
Alicia Davies, here for Cacta, and community member.
Rick Patrick, a member of the Tree Commission. And I'm Jim Toby. My wife Cindy Bell couldn't be here today, but she's on the village board and is the tree commissioner, and she's event well.
Now an actress, right?
She is.
Yeah. She's in the college play, in my understanding. Playing the mayor, is that right?
She is.
That's great.
No aspirations. And on Sunday.
I'm Betsy Moore, member of the Tree Commission, and one of the gardeners who likes to pull out weeds down here at Creekside Park.
Ted Bartlett, Tree Commission.
Tom Tait Tree Commission. Thank you for that. So the first two people to start were Jennifer and John Wood. They own, I think it's technically your business, right?
Yes.
It's Walker Tree Service. So Walker Tree Service is kind enough today to help us plant a shingle oak as a demonstration of the right way to plant a tree. But their involvement goes way beyond that. We as a village get called frequently by residents who have a concern over a tree or a complaint about a tree. We get it all. And we take tree work very seriously. It's always extremely well vetted. No tree is just taken down for the sake of taking it down unless it's been demonstrated it's hazardous or is in irreversible health. Cindy knows this. She's usually the first person to get the information, then it trickles down. And Jennifer is very generous with her time to come and give an opinion on the condition of a tree, as is Jim, who's with National Grid. And that can comfort a resident. So if they hear that their historic sugar maple in front of their home is hazardous or in irreversible decline, they're hearing from not just the village, but they're hearing from other parties that are validating the need for action to be taken. Again, it's taken very seriously. We never take a tree down unless it's been well vetted. So their generosity of their time, both today and throughout the year, is very important, because you have to have that so that residents have comfort and trust in knowing that we are being good stewards for our trees. So thank you both for all that you're doing. And with that, this toy that they have, which costs about 50 grand, replaces the old back-breaking work that we used to do. So we applaud them as well.
We're all getting old.
Yeah. So we're grateful for everyone coming today, being our Earth Day, and again next Friday being Arbor Day. But the stage is yours to talk to us about planting a tree.
Okay. So the most important part about planting a tree is picking the right species for the right site. Here we were looking for shade, so we chose the shingle oak. And as Tom said, there is going to be some competition, and one of these species will of course win and become the tallest, most dominant tree here in this location. There are several different kinds of trees that you can choose at nurseries to plant. There is bald and burlap, which is what we've chosen. There is bare root, or there are container grown trees. Each has their own specific way to go about planting them. With the bald and burlap tree, the most important part is to protect the bald portion of the tree, the root ball. If you jostle it too much, if you drop it, if you roll it too far, then the soil falls off the root ball and it's no longer intact. So you have to be very cautious when you're moving it about, getting it into the hole. Industry standards recommend that all the ties, the burlap in the cage, get removed from it at a minimum a third of the root ball. we try in our company, we try to take as much off as possible. Sometimes if the root ball is sensitive because of movement, we have to leave a little more. If that happens, we always return a few years later and try and mitigate any kind of girdling root growth that may have occurred. As you're backfilling the hole, you want to tamp it down to make sure that you get as much air out of the soil. And generally we do introduce water. I don't see that here today, so maybe I'll return later in the day with our water truck and make sure that we get it watered in well, and we will install a water bag. Okay? And I think that's it for me. Thank you.
I can run home and get some buckets.
We've got a creek. That would be helpful.
But they're gonna, Mickennon will be
Yes.
by the water as well. So
It's very important that that's not neglected. When trees are grown in the nursery, they are well maintained, they're watered, they're pruned, they're backfilled, they have soil on them, and then we rip them out of their comfortable community where they've grown nestled in with all the other hundreds of trees in the nursery, and we throw them out into an urban environment all alone. So it's very important to make sure that you revisit, check on your tree, water it, and periodically check the root flare to make sure that there aren't any girdling roots that you could mitigate at a very young age and allow your tree to live here for possibly hundreds of years.
Thank you, and that's all of us. If we see something that's of concern, we are in the village only, the tree commission, but in the town, you see something that's of concern, bring it to our attention. Because there's things, we can't be everywhere all the time. So if you see maybe a big piece of deadwood or a limb that's lodged up in a tree, or a tree that's struggling, just let us know and we're happy to check it out. And that would be Mckennon's role as well, although I do think he's going to be taxed. So the more eyes on it, the better. When we do trees, I think we think it just magically appears, but this started before it was even dug. The nurseryman Dale Tuttle at Aspinalls went out in the field and we selected it, made sure it was a tree that was desirable to us. It then gets tagged, then it gets dug, then it gets brought into a holding yard, then we have to go get it and deliver it here. So it's a long road for a tree to make it to this site. It's often an abusive road because it does get jostled around in transit. So it will take a little bit for this to acclimate, but it's here and I think it's going to be a great home for it. And if anyone wants to take any bets on who's going to win, I'll take your money. Hey, we could have a lot more of that. Do we want to get started?
We can get started.
Okay.
You're up, gentlemen.
You want to get us through that, or we're going to tell you?
The oak tree. Almost always a deciduous tree will win out over an evergreen tree. So if you're going down East Lake Road, if you know where the old Rubenstein tennis court is now out Crawford.
When we set the tree in the hole,
They put a
we
bunch of
tried to make
spruce
sure that
trees
it was
right
level
under
and
the
plumb in
deciduous
both
trees.
directions, so
If
we're
they
giving it an
vegetation,
opportunity to grow
you'll
straight.
watch over the next couple of years, they'll
We
pivot
did that
around.
by
It's the
chinking
root
the base of
competition.
the root ball. The hole was pre-dug, which is always important because the faster you can cover the root system, the more beneficial it is for the tree survival.
The way it is, it's just the transit conflict is a big deal because you have to take every yeah. We'll pull just throw
I did not talk to them about getting the right height. You can see on the top of the root ball there what is known as the root flare. You do not want the root flare to be buried too deeply. It should be just at, or sometimes according to the soil and the location, possibly just above, but never below the grade. Your root flare should always be on the top. You can notice the root flare because it's actually a buttress root flare that is grown from maturity, and it is wider, it fans out at the base of the tree. You always want that to be exposed. You can also see there's a difference between the bark on the tree and the bark that is on the root. The root bark is sensitive. It's used to being in a dark environment, moist, dirty environment. That's where it belongs. The trunk bark is coarse, hard. It is your protectant for the tree, and it's exposed to heat, light, abuse. It's calloused. It's expected to thrive in this environment. So, but if you bury the root flare too deeply, then the bark can't do as it's supposed to, because now it's in that dark, wet, constant, moist environment. So it is important for tree survival. Also, if you plant the root flare too deeply, or the root ball in general too deeply, you can encourage what is called girdling roots. Girdling roots are roots that grow out and around your root ball and can essentially, well, they do, choke off, suffocate the tree itself. So it's important that your hole is wide enough that you can encourage the roots to go out and down, not up and back around the root ball. Too frequently, trees are planted in a really small pit, because it's easier to dig a small hole than it is a bigger hole, but you want a wide planting hole.
How about nursery mark, north side mark?
I'll leave that to you.
So often a nursery will mark the tree with a north side mark, or maybe tag it a certain way. Usually it's a paint dot. Anybody know which way's north? Okay. So whether it comes from the nursery or wherever the tree comes from, if that north side is marked, when you plant the tree, you want to keep that north side to the north, so that you don't get a sun scald, that sort of thing. You know, they're very, it's minimal, but you may get a sun scald. It may have a thin bark side, and all of a sudden you get a hot day and sunshine, and now you've got an injury already.
So is it just the fact that the tree has been facing a particular way and it wants to stay that way? I don't understand the north.
So the north facing side of the tree is cooler,
right,
shadier.
Right.
Okay, so the bark is a living thing, the tree's a living thing, and as it's growing, it's adapting to its
and so you want to keep it in that same position.
So if you turn the tree and plant the tree the wrong way, that shaded side that is used to a cooler environment is now exposed to reflective heat and a hot environment that it's not used to. And the bark can essentially get sunburned, split and crack, and then we've got a wound that's got to recover for many years. You may have noticed that before on a tree somewhere, where you have a long lateral crack all the way down the tree, and it's likely that was either a sun scald or a frost injury that damaged that, and it popped open because it was sunburned.
Interesting. Thank you. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I explain it. The north side mark is kind of like, in January we go on vacation, you go down to the Bahamas, and you jump on the boat and you're out in the sun, and next thing you know, in the day, you got a sunburn. You know, and it's all of 3 years a tree takes to acclimate itself to its new planted site. The sun here is predominantly south in the sky, comes up in the east, all that good stuff.
So what Jim was getting ready to do on the top of the root flare there is he was going to cut some of those exposed roots to prevent future injury or girdling root from those roots that are a little high on the root flare. So that root there grew because of how it was in the nursery. So it's important to take anything like that off. If for some reason there are multiple roots like that, again, take a third, revisit the tree and the root flare a year or so later, take some more. If for some reason you had multiple circling roots, you can't necessarily take them all at once because we're not certain which roots are the most important for the tree. So you would do that in steps.
Right there's one.
Good on your side, Tom?
Yep.
Looks
We can
great
grab
from
some
here.
of that when
Yeah.
we
Very straight from this angle.
stake it.
So it's important to tamp down or chink in according to the soil that you're using as you're backfilling the hole.
So this was at, the flare was actually, it was fall level, so you didn't have to do too much. Yeah. Dig the hole a little bit deeper, so we measured it with our 2x4 and we should have lights before we put it in. We've had trees that are, the root ball is 18 inches high, where we literally had to take a foot of soil off to get down to the root flare. So it's unstable, it's not ideal. This one is almost perfect. So you can thank George Aspinall for that.
George has a wonderful nursery. If you're ever in Mango, you have the opportunity to walk around acres and acres, thousands of beautiful trees that have been grown in our environment here locally. Most of them. It's on Riverside and Mango, yeah. It actually, I think, is on the line. Maybe you say it there on the address.
I don't fly very much, but a couple of times the flight path has taken me over the nursery, and it's amazing just how beautifully large nursery is. Yeah, it's a beautiful site.
And again, nursery, so it is good if you can to source a locally grown tree acclimated to our environment. Often you can find trees that are being shipped into our state that aren't necessarily acclimated, so they're going to go through that additional trying to acclimate to our climate. In March, we had an anomaly where it was like -22, and 3 or 4 days later it was 17. So it's involved on the two-fourth side.
And we know, as gardeners or people who enjoy horticulture, we're just in the moment. That's subtle change in elevation is enough to, yeah. And something New York is profoundly different in Washington. And trees are not. Paper bark maple this week between the giant statue and the new wall. So if you're down there, we did a very, very large section on it to try and mow it away, but also to
Jim just pointed out to me that you also want to check underneath the root collar, whether the soil disappeared through jostling or through the dinghy in the nursery. Underneath there it is hollow, and that needs to be backfilled. Or chinked, or very cautiously.
I've been called the non.
Yeah, right. Strike that from the minutes.
I've been called the non-PC version of that, Tom, but proctologist.
On a bare root tree, this would be much more obvious because it's bare root. There's no soil whatsoever. But with this, you can't overlook the fact that that area needs to be filled as well.
Our preference is bare root whenever we can. There's zero availability. like it, it's easier. The trees there, like Jennifer said, is right there. One person can really see around. So it's always a preference.
Mulch is also very important on the final step, in my opinion. Not necessarily because it's going to drastically make the growing environment better, but it's going to be a visual reminder to lawn maintenance personnel to stay away from the tree. Huge injuries that can kill our landscape trees is routine striking from weed whackers or lawn mowers. So a mulch ring around your tree is a great visual to protect it from being struck with a mower or a weed string trimmer. It also does help keep the soil moist, because if you just have the hard top soil, sometimes we have red clay in our area, the sun hits on it and then it dries up and it does not, the water doesn't penetrate well. So the mulch will help with water and moisture retention. If that is so, don't over backfill the top of the root ball. Move it to a different location. Don't forget to pick up your tools so you don't lose your tools. Sorry.
Even though all this soil originally came out of this hole, and we put a larger ball back in it, you'll generally find you don't have enough soil. And that's, he has a perfect soil, has 45% airspace. And when we put this back in, using our weight to tamp it down, we get rid of that airspace. It will recover with frost heaving and natural I would. You wander on a shovel or you know, I don't know. Soak the whole thing. because you're getting the silt down and you're soaking it in. And then it's not only getting a drink, you're soaking it in, and then it's depending on the drink later.
Jim's watering around the outside of the root ball. According to your water source and how you're watering it, could be done differently. The most important part is to get some water. Can you speak on your theory again on how you're watering? You're just choosing to water on the outside of the root ball, correct?
Yep, we'll end up watering the entire area. We are forecast to get quite a bit of rain, so I'm not overly concerned about it. The biggest part of it, we've just gone through and released this root ball we recently dug, and I'll show you how to do that off of a shovel so you don't erode the soil away from the root ball.
Well, I'm going to tree commission, and then I decided to come to this country. I have churches. Standing at the ball fields of
there's no flare in Jennifer and I don't know if Jim will do it, but it has extensive decay. So some people think green leaves is a safe tree. They don't look at the structural integrity. You could have a tree that's
Do not do it like that. We will do it like this in the future.
We'll do it outside. If you pour in one spot, it turns into mud and you end up with a cavity. If you do it on top of the root ball like that, you
Slide the car, I remember that.
And you've never seen a tree removed faster than that one.
When was that? I don't know. It was about 10 or 15 years ago.
It was in the 90s.
It was, his name was Amos, right?
I think, yeah, you're right.
The son boy was somebody.
No, it
He was
wasn't.
in the car.
This is good. This is really. I can edit out some of the gaps later, so hopefully it'll be pretty cool to be able to show others. There's a couple people got on.
Walker Tree Care Incorporated. Throughout the years, our business, we've been in business 31 years, and sometimes our name gets mistaken. Originally, when we bought the company, it was Walker Tree Care and Removal. Changed the name when we got incorporated, so it's Walker Tree Care Incorporated. Sometimes we do get misrepresented as Walker Tree Services.
When I hear though,
Point that out.
Sorry.
Spreads it out more, huh?
So now we are going to shake the tree for stability.
Yeah, we want to. Can we get it with the stake in it? Yeah, you'll be able to get some then. So also the prevalent wind for that. Well, there you go. So you got phototropism and geotropism. The geos actually are really wind shears, snow loads. They're what's working that root ball. They're what's causing the elongation in the root system to take hold. They don't go down, they spread out. The root system's spread out. And actually, as it grows, it'll spread out and to the drip edge. And where it can get a good drink. Here in the So when you guide a tree, you don't want to pull it tight. You want to give it some action. You're just protecting it from being blown over. Main end of that
Certain locations and with certain plantings, staking isn't always necessary. If you do end up staking a tree, you want to make sure that you return to remove the cable
Yeah. I'll take a second.
because you want the tree to adapt to how the wind is going to hit it in its current environment. These are temporary assists to keep the tree straight while it's getting rooted to its planting site. You don't want to leave them on forever. It can kill the tree.
If you're staking trees in the village of Cazenovia, some in front. So it's not right ahead, you check.
Oh, yeah,
Correct statement.
yeah. So let's, so Jim, do you mind taking a picture of us?
No.
So let's do a photo op, everybody, in front of the tree. And that way people can go if they have to, so, thank you. Everybody in.
I went to my first barn show.
Thad, you definitely have to get in. I don't know if you want to.
I was saying to Jennifer, I can edit out the the gaps and stuff and tighten it up a bit later.
I definitely want you in the picture. So.
Oh,
Here,
thanks.
you want me to? Well, I better not.
Yeah, you put it in there.
I was going to do that for you, but
You turned it to stars.
Can you set it on the rock?
Oh yeah, I guess yeah.
Oh, we'll do a photo later.
Stand there an angle so it's corrected side below. More of us will fit in.
Yeah, I think we got it.
No hiding.
All right, are we ready? Smiling, frowning, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to sit.
You gonna throw that on now or? Yep.
Thank you,
Capture
everyone.
that and
We're
I
gonna
can.
finish up. I know we have a busy day for our personal lives and birthday, but thank you all for coming. Yeah. I think they're going to start converting some of the corners to mowing. They just can't maintain all of it. So, you put on a leaf? Yeah, you can't borrow them.
Can you want to see that? While you're videoing, if it's straight up and down?
Oh yeah. Good to these eyes. Yep.
Sorry that got entangled. I couldn't find the end of it.
Yep.
They're reusable?
It's a lot quicker than lengths of
It is.
old garden hose.
It's adjustable if it stretches, so you can just come over to it, part it back together. Costs a little bit more than just doing steel line, but recyclable.
That sounds like a big mistake.
That's cool. But that's even a bigger mistake than I usually make.
Yeah, I checked it out.
But because of the plastic, it will end up stretching just a bit and loosen that up. Purpose in that making this really tight so that the wind reacts to the trunk of the tree and still this will stay on for approximately a year. So it sell itself.
Not that guy. We know that guy.
Done?
That guy's name and number.
Good job. Okay, thanks. Right.
Is that all going to get edited? Or?